Dude, I don't know what the heck is going on. Like, so usually this doesn't happen, but I don't know why it's like being dumb right now. Bro, what the heck? What is going on? Why is it being stupid right now? Is it working now? Because, like, it's being so dumb right now. Like, I don't know what's going on, guys. Dude. Okay, something's off with this. I don't know why my thing. I should have double checked if it was all
it's
good.
It's scary
but
how good I am.
I don't know, dude. This is so dumb. Hold on, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties, as they like to say. Hold on, just give me like 5 minutes. I don't know. I wouldn't even wait for 5 minutes. Thanks for the donation, Marksman. I appreciate it, but for some reason this is dumb. This is being stupid right now, okay? Hold on. Oh my god. Should just be a little bit more. Dude, this is. I should have double checked with this because it's like. Dang. Because I set up an event thing for this game, but like. I don't know why it like closed it for some reason. Alright. I believe I fixed it. It's probably gonna look weird. I'm gonna have to delete some videos because it like if I don't do anything it's just gonna appear like I'm streaming multiple things or something. Nah, it's fine. Alright. It's good. We're good now. I hope. Ha! Oof. Alright. Like I was saying, so this game, here's where the Yandere portion comes in a little bit. Letita's obsession with Clara grew until it threatened to consume her, a victim of her own unspoken desires. And quite unable to curb them, Letita soon grew afraid of what they might drive her to do. Pretty poggers, huh? Oh shit, what? Dude, what the heck is going on? Bruh. Okay, what the heck happened here? Oh my god. What is going on? This is like the worst live stream ever. I have never had a live stream this bad before. Oh my god, dude. Okay. Okay, we got that part. Bridge monarchs. Where leaders hold fingers. Okay, here we go. She did not trust herself to be alone with Clara. Her feelings for the young girl had festered, growing more potent with the passing years, and as soon she found herself utterly enchanted. As such, Letita felt quite overwhelmed when one afternoon Clara put her most unexpected proposal indeed. I do have to say that the art is pretty good, though. Like, whoever drew the artwork for this game is pretty good. Yo, he's back. Hey, what's up, Maple Man? Have you ever wondered about what your IQ is? I'm returning to Monkey, yeah. I have no IQ. I don't know, man. Like, I don't really have an IQ. I think it's like, since I think I have like ADHD or something, and I stutter a lot and stuff like that, so I don't know if that has anything to do with IQ. But I'm assuming that my IQ is fairly average. I would believe so. I don't know. If you, I don't know, like, I know how to program and stuff, and I'm good with computers, so it could be a little bit above average, I'm assuming, because of my knowledge, but I don't know. I beg your pardon, Miss Mortimer. Letita stared at Clara wide-eyed, who in turn only smiled. Oh, don't act coy with me. I know you heard what I said, Letty. Won't you help me change into my new gown, please? Oh, please. At 16 years of age, Clara could no longer be called a little girl, but she had retained many of her youthful mannerisms. Sometimes Letita found this charming, but at the moment she thought it alarming. Lady Marchbank's having a ball tonight, and I need someone to help me into my new dress. I can't do it myself. Because, you know, back in the day, like, freaking the British people were spoiled. So I appreciate that, Miss Mortimer. Oh, don't call me that. I've known you for years, Letty. You're a member of the family now, like Marion. Marion was the Mortimer's housekeeper. Her full name was Marion Clett, and she generally disliked being called anything other than Miss Clett, unless Clara was the one doing the calling. We finished with lessons for the day, and we're not in a stuffy schoolroom, so you might as well call me Clara. Very well, Clara. I'm glad that you trust me so, but I'm really not the right person for the job. Would you be better served asking one of the maids? I know I would, but Abby and Sarah and Marjorie, or I don't know how do you say that name, are all busy. I don't have anybody else to ask. If Mother would hire a lady's maid for me, it would be different, but... Clara sighed. You will have to do it. If I'm ever going to go to this ball, I trust you, Letty. I know how good you are with your hands. You flatter me, Miss Mortimer. Clara, no, I don't. Your hands are like magic. If you can play Chopin, you should be able to tighten my corset. Letita opened her mouth. A reply was on the tip of her tongue, but it soon dissipated, consumed by the treacherous thumping of her own heart. Clara was beginning to undress. She unbuttoned her dress, then heaved it over the head. The material was stiff and it tied to resist, but Clara wasn't the one to be bested. She tugged at it, and soon the offending article was gone, crumpled into a heap on the ground. Letita looked at Clara's divested dress. What does that mean? I'm like really slow. Where's the British accent? Yeah, you're right. I should have done like a British accent. My British accent sounds like Australian though. That's the only bad thing though. Letita looked at Clara's devious dress. I'm gonna sound like French. It seemed easier to stare at that than her charge in her chemise. Now, Letty, won't you help me? You ought to hurry, or I'll catch a cold. That's kind of me. That's kind of dumb. Like, oh, you better do my dress before I catch a cold, or it'll be your fault, kind of thing. It's like, bruh, that's kind of petty. I highly doubt that. It's the beginning of August and the sun is shining. Clara's bedroom window was closed, but the sunlight filtered through the glass well enough, illuminating stray specks of dust which danced in the air. Clara's bedroom was on the second floor of the Mortimer's home, and it overlooked the garden. Letita could hear the sound of trees swaying back and forth in the sultry summer breeze and the faint thrilling of birdsong. At least the chaffies sounded happy. Chaffinchies? I don't know what the heck that word is. I probably have it at low IQ, guys, so... Gyms will fund Dickie's voice actor career. Bruh. Chopin, okay. Thanks, Maple. Appreciate that. I'm funding his lunch. Thanks, I appreciate it. I can eat now. I can eat those really fancy British foods now. I'll give you free pizza if you pay shipping, bruh. Bet. I don't know if they will ship from Canada all the way to here. The pizza's probably gonna get cold by then. Letita, for her part, felt so tense she feared she must shatter. Where's my grocer? Regardless, it isn't proper for a lady to lounge around in her underclothes. Then you ought to do something about that. As my governess, it's your job to keep me looking presentable. I suppose that is true, yes. Yes, indeed. Now why don't you let me... My dress is in my wardrobe. It's the one in taffeta with the roses. First off, you should tighten my corset. I want my waist to look slim. Bruh, dude, that's hilarious. I'm sorry. That's pretty funny. It's not free when you have to pay. You sound like an old man, bruh. Very well. I think I can manage that much. Letita tensed. She had passed the point of caring about propriety. Now, she wished only to finish this awkward encounter as soon as she humanly possible. Sometimes she wondered whether Clara did this on purpose. It wasn't the first time she had behaved in an overly familiar manner during the years, though there had been boundaries between them once. Clara had never called Lolita Letty in the early years when Letita had first arrived in the Mortimer's household. Had always been Miss Reed back then. When had that changed? Lolita couldn't remember. There hadn't been a definitive point, she supposed, when Clara had begun to relax her. Things had simply started shifting, like sand in an hourglass. Miss Reed had become Letita, then Letty. Now Letita was so caught up in Clara she found it hard to breathe. As a governess, she should have put more distance between them. It was her duty to educate, not enable. But she had never been able to say no to Clara. I like the artwork. Like, look at that, dude. Look at that detail for the hair and stuff. Like, imagine how long it took to, like, draw all this. Like, the background pictures and stuff. And, like, dude. Dang. I wish this person did my visual novels, because that would be busted. That would be probably the best game ever. Mickey Mouse and Boris Johnson. Bruh. I should do Mickey Mouse, shouldn't I? And Boris Johnson, even in the McDonald's. Not even I go to the McDonald's, bruh. Clara was standing by her open window, her arms raised above her head. Her narrow waist was already cinched in with the corset, but it had been tied loosely. It was hard to play the piano when it was too restrictive. Letita supposed she could tighten it, just a few notches. Letita's fingers rose to the corset. They trembled as she untied the laces. Why was she shaking so? Letita cursed herself for her weakness. But their closeness seemed to be affecting Clara too. Her own shoulders were tensed, her slender body quivering. Forgive me if I'm being too rough. Letita's voice sounded rough and ungainly to her own ears, and she hated herself for it. It might have been better if she had not spoken, but the silence made her far too aware of her own body. I don't have much experience with lacing corsets. Let me know if it hurts. Oh, don't worry, Letty. Mother has always says a corset isn't tied to properly if it doesn't hurt at least a little. But I don't want to cause you any pain. That's fine. Clara glanced at Letita from over her shoulder, a small smile upon her pretty face. You couldn't help me even if you tried. You've always been so good to me. Miss Mortimer, please call me Clara. Dude, I can't even get through it if I keep doing these voices. I appreciate the donation again, Marksman. Don't go with the McDonald's, and I don't mean McDonald's, literally McDonald's. Oof. Yikes. Yeah. Bruh. They were so close, like you could feel strands of Clara's hair against her fingers. When she inhaled, she could smell the scent of Clara's skin. This was a similar closeness they achieved when playing the piano, both sharing the same stool, but this was different. They weren't in the stuffy schoolroom. They were in Clara's elegant bedroom, which overlooked the garden, the air hot and heavy with summer. Dude, can you imagine how hot these houses are, like back in the day? Since they don't have AC or anything, it would probably be like scorching. Like the humidity inside these homes would be crazy. I don't know how people could have like dressed up in like corsets and shit like that. They'd be like sweating like hell, dude. Imagine how smelly people smelled back then. Yikes. Especially since, like, I believe in Europe, bathing wasn't really a thing. I think that bathing was most popularized in Asian countries, which they bathed more than Europeans, and Europeans didn't really bathe. So imagine how smelly everybody smelled during the summers. Yikes. Yeah, we do need to finish our visual novel, Maple. Hopefully we'll get to it. This was similar to closeness there too. The corset's lace felt slippery in Letita's hands. She fumbled and the corset soon came undone. Oh, Letita grasped, dismayed by her own clumsiness. So much for her magic hand. She could play Chopin, but lacing Clara's corset was proving much more of a challenge. I'm sorry. It's alright, we have enough time. But the ball. Oh, that. Clara pulled a face. To be perfectly honest, Letty, I don't much care for a silly ball. I'd rather not go at all. What? Why not? I've been to a dozen of balls, and they're all the same. They always remind me of the cattle markets, really. Mother and father will doing their best to sell me off to the highest bidder while pompous young men leered at me from across the dance floor. It's ghastly stuff. Clara shuddered. I don't want to get married just yet. Why should I pretty myself out for the sake of complete strangers? All noblemen are the same. They expect a married woman like me to grovel before them in gratitude if they so much as a glance in their direction. Clara's vitriol on the subject was surprising. She was a sweetly spoken girl by nature, and Letita had never before heard her so bitter. Perhaps she didn't know Clara quite as well as she thought. But Clara, I thought you said the ball was important. I had to say that so you'd help me. I know how funny you get about your so-called duty. You talk just like a soldier sometimes. I think it's sweet, really, that you don't want to step on the other maid's toes. But I like spending time with you alone, away from the schoolroom. I just wanted to speak with you for a while. We speak every single day, miss. I know we do, but only as a governess and her student. Well, I don't want you to be your student anymore. I'm tired of being treated like a young girl. What? You don't mean... The laces of Clara's corset turned to liquid into Letita's hands. She almost dropped them anew, her heart beating a tattoo against her ribcage all the while. You don't want to send me away, do you? What? No. Clara's response was a bemused one, her cut glass syllables thick with confusion. Why would you think that, Letty? You know how much I care about you. I know. I just thought you said you no longer want to be my student. I don't. But that doesn't mean I want to be with you. I don't want to be with you. I like you to treat me like an adult rather than shying away from me. We are friends, aren't we? I doubt Miss Clett would approve of our so-called friendship, or your mother for that matter. I was not brought here to be your playmate. I was supposed to be your teacher, and you have taught me well, but I'm tired of her lessons. I'm 16 now, and I know enough about the world. I know. What do you know? Letita spoke softly, hoping to ease Clara's worries. What is it, Clara? Please speak to me. What's wrong? What's wrong, you ask? What's wrong? Clara had turned now. She faced Letita with large, stricken eyes, still clad in her underclothes. Her corset was unsecured. It was beginning to gape. Is it gape? I don't know. But its topmost laces had been pulled tightly enough to keep it wound about her waist. Clara's brown curls fell around her shoulder. Her eyes were like smoldering flames in summer heat. They looked unusually wild, like an unbroken colt's. My mother is the one in the wrong. She's trying to marry me off already, and I've barely had a chance to live my life for myself. What if she finds the right man at this ball, and she trades me away? What then? What then, you ask? Well, Letita looked in Clara's eyes. It was harder than she imagined. Her stomach lurched, and she felt faint, but still, she forced herself to remain steady. She could not afford to go into pieces. You would not be married right away, even if your mother does find you a suitable match. You should have a few months, at least, to make peace with the idea. But a few months isn't enough if I get married. When you get married, I'll have to leave home. I won't see Marianne again, or Abby, or Sarah, or Marjorie? I don't know. I'll miss them all, and mother and father. And I'll miss you too, Letty. I don't want to leave. I like the background music, though. The background music's pretty good. Corset on a grown man, that sounds like that. Bruh. Wow. Bathing was perfume, essentially. Deodorant was invented in the 1900s, 1910s, from what I can remember. Damn, dude. I did not know that. Clara's voice rang through her bedroom loud and clear. It seemed to resonate in the air, reverberating through the very floorboards. Letitas felt each and every one of those words keenly. They struck the air out of her, almost knocking her senseless. Clara would miss her. She would miss her. Well, what do you think? Please say something. Letita stared at Clara. Her young pupil was red-faced and breathless, her chest heaving with exertion. Her eyes were anxious and panicked. Her lips pursed. Suddenly, Letita was struck with an intense, almost overwhelming desire to press Clara to her bosom and hold her close. She would kiss the encroaching tears from Clara's eyelashes, and then she would kiss her lips, and between her kisses she would say, oh, it did not matter what she would say, for this was all a wild fantasy. Letita had indulged in such thoughts before, but she had never consecrated them. She could not. Her wild imaginings were ungodly. They were immoral. They were sick, and Letita felt sick too. What would Clara say if she knew of her desires? Letita dared not imagine. Surely she would castigate her. Such feelings were hardly natural. Letty. Clara peered at her governess, her own problems momentarily forgotten. Letty, is something wrong? You've come over quite pale. Do you feel all right? Clara extended her fingers. They were long and white and perfect, and Letita had wondered, though she had tried not to wonder it, how it would feel to press the pads of those fingers into her lips and slid them into her mouth. Letty, bruh, what is this? What is this game? Clara's fingers curled around Letita's waist. And this was all the prompting Letita's indeed needed to step back, her movements jerkily and unnatural. Sorry, Miss Mortimer, I'm not in my right frame of mind. It's far too hot, you see. I think I need to lie down in my own room. What? But Letty, what about my corset? Clara called after her governess, but her plaintive bleating was in vain. Letita was already walking away, her shoes falling briskly against the wooden floorboards. With every step, her self-loathing mounted, black and thick as tar in her throat. It made her feel sick. It was clear that to Letita now, in a way that had never been before that she could no longer live under the same roof as Clara Mortimer. If things did not change, Letita feared she might truly go mad. Oh, I better save this one right here. Well, that's interesting so far. Let's see. History moment. History moment. Also, most medicine was alcohol and drugs that made you trip our blood. No kidding. I mean, that's pretty much all they could get. Pretty much. I can't guess on. Heard about that one. I'm trying to buy a classic car. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Which car, man? A lot of medication wasn't actually safe either. Yeah, they were like chugging like radiation or something like that. That's crazy. Like lead. And they thought lead was like good for you back then. It's like, bruh. I heard a lot of people like saying like, oh, I wish I would lived back in the 1900s or something. Like they have no idea that people were like ingesting lead or some shit like that. It's pretty insane. Guess the car of the year is 1966. Is a Ford Mustang 1966 or something. I don't know. Precisely, hence why we had the Drug and Food Act of 1906. Bruh. History, guys. History. We're learning history. Very informative stream so far. The promise of change came sooner than Letita had imagined, a scant 2 weeks after her disastrous interaction with Clara in her unlit bedroom. Hold on a sec. I forgot. I was going to do something real quick. Hold on. I gotta check on some stuff real quick. Dude, I hate how. Okay, hold on. Nah, I'm not gonna complain. All right, whatever. It arrived discreetly, with little fanfare, in the form of an advert tucked away in the pages of the Morning Post. The advertisement was small and easily overlooked, the black font hemmed in by the plain rectangular border. Other like rectangles populated the page, all slotting together like a giant tessellating pattern. Each rectangle bore more text, small and ant-like. In these rectangles, Letita could spy any number of informational pieces. One about an exhibit at London's historic horticultural society, however you spell that. Another one on a newly open theater, and yet another one about a valuable watch which had been found in Hyde Park last Wednesday. Please inquire about the Metropolitan Police Station. Many across London would doubtless to take an interest in these myriad pieces, but Letita hardly even saw these headlines. Like mayflies that throng the stingy August air, they failed to register. I need some water, dude. Like, I can't talk right now. Her attention had been captured in its entirety by one particular advert, which read thus: Governess wanted at Hatton Manor, Beeston, Yorkshire. We're seeking a lady of impeccable character with suitable past experience to tutor Miss Genevieve. What the fuck? How do you say? Genevieve Langley? I don't know how do you say that. The governess must be comfortable and competent in the general day-to-day running of the schoolroom, with a proficiency in English, geography, history, etc. Musical and artistic accomplishments are necessary, and she must be proficient in at least one foreign language, preferably French or Italian. Please address all inquiries to Miss Rowena Worry? I think that's how you say it. Inquiries without an accompanying character reference will be discarded outright. Letita read this advertisement twice over, then set it aside. She swallowed, then spoke aloud and to nobody in particular. Oh my. To her, it seemed a symbol of divine providence. The advertisement had fallen into her lap quite suddenly, as a Dude, I can't read. Benediction might from a higher being. The timing was so perfect. It might as well have been delivered to her from the Heavenly Father himself. A genuine miracle. Of course, Letita was not arrogant enough to assume that God, in all his divine wisdom, would ever design to send her a letter or a message. But there was something apocryphal about it. Like I said, I don't read, guys. I don't know why you guys expect me to know how to read. I'm dumb. My IQ is 4. Gotta check on me. Gotta pick up my car. Oh shit, really? Did I really get a Ford Mustang? Oof, dude, that's the first thing that came out to mind. Dang, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate the donation, Marksman. Thanks. Of course, Leto was not very good. What else could it be other than the sign? Letita had prayed for help, and now here it is before her, a solution to her problems. These problems of Letita's had swelled during the last 2 weeks, as baking bread does, rising until it threatened to overspill its tin. Letita's every waking hour had, since the encounter in Clara's sunlit bedroom, had been devoted entirely to her young pupil. She thought of holding her and kissing her, and more besides. These imaginings always came at first with flushes of pleasure, but it was pleasure of a light, effervescent kind, which soon faded to guilt and disgust, not at Clara for instigating such feelings within her, but at herself for entertaining such notions. Fearful of her own desires, flight was the only option available. It was all Lolita could think to do, quell her own ardor. That was how Lolita came to sit at her desk, quill in hand, and pen a response to the advertisement. She wrote slowly, careful not to spill any ink, and she tried to think not of Clara, whom she would be leaving, but a Hayton Manor, and the Langley family, and of the mysterious Genevieve. Genevieve was a pretty name for a young girl. It sounded Arthurian? Almost. Maybe her father was some sort of scholar. Letita doubted. However, that was Genevieve would match her romantic name. Girls crowned with the most beautiful names rarely rose to meet their parents' lofty expectations. She would probably be a plain, shy thing, with tightly woven plaits and dark, disagreeable eyes. Genevieve's exact age hadn't been mentioned in the advertisement, but Letita had already placed her at about 5, 6, maybe even 7. That was the age when young girls took Governess, and the advertisement hadn't mentioned anything about her having any previous tutorship. The advertisement hadn't mentioned where exactly Hayton Manor was either. Letita only knew that it was Yorkshire. Letita had never heard of Hayton Manor before, nor the Langley family, but she had heard of Yorkshire. She knew it was located a good 200 miles north of London, a country comprised almost entirely of countryside, with only a few larger settlements interspaced among the fields and the fens. Hayton Manor sounded like an isolated sort of place, but that suited Lolita's perfectly. As she was at Yorkshire, she would no longer be able to see Clara. She would still think about Clara, of course, that much was inevitable, but perhaps her face would fade in time, becoming dull and gray as the months slipped by. Soon Letita would forget the trill of Clara's bird-like laughter and the shocking intensity of her big brown eyes. She would forget her own sinful designs on Clara's body. How could she continue to lust after her if she could not see her? It would be like desiring a ghost. That was what Clara's had to become, if Letita was to have any hope of repentance. She was not, Letita told herself, as she worked on her letter, running away. This was no act of cowardice. How could it be when her heart stung so with each stroke of her quill? She did not want to leave Clara. She did not particularly want to leave Lady Mortimer either, or her comfortable, well-paying position in the largest city in Europe. All right, see ya, Marksman. Thanks for stopping by, man. All right, see ya, guys. They would have to call her crazy, who wanted to sequester themselves away in the countryside. It was an act of sacrifice born of love for Clara's sake just as much as hers. Surely she was doing the right thing. Who could have faulted her for that? Before Letita could post her letter, however, there was something she needed to do. She still needed that character reference for the Mortimers, and to attain it, she first had to hand in her notice. Letita bit her lip, then scanned over the line she had written in her neat looping cursive. Her head was beginning to ache. How was she going to explain this to the mistress? I wonder how, Resignation went back in the day. Because usually it's from the sounds of it, I can't really say if this is accurate or not, just based on the game. I don't know if the person who made the game actually, looked up how historically accurate this is, but if you resign, do you get an interview? Did they have interviews back in the day? I don't know. Or did they just accept anybody in the whoever submitted their thing, or they just appeared on their doorstep or something, and they're like, "Hey, I'm here to take on the job. How's it going?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't want you." But the thing is that they already left the previous job, so are they homeless now or something? I don't know, dude. That would suck. It's like, you're not good enough. Oh, sorry, you don't look cool enough, so you're out. That would suck, and they already left their previous job. Yikes. Letita spent an uneasy night wondering how exactly she would break the news to Lady Mortimer. She slept only a scant handful of hours, but she's still bidden to rise early for church the following morning. The time passed slowly, like Mausolus through this sieve. The church sermon seemed to drag so far longer than usual, and the Reverend's voice was positively sporific. Letita sat with the rest of the Mortimer's family, her back straight as the poker fingers digging into her thighs. She feared if she didn't remain diligent, she might fall asleep, and what sort of impression would that make? Letita was still Clara's governess, though she did not intend to be for much longer, and she had to look the part. She had no desire to be a poor influence on Clara, though she feared it was already late for such worries. Letita could look as poised as she pleased. It wouldn't change the myriad wicked thoughts within her head. Letita had been hoped to have a private word with Lady Mortimer after church, but it wasn't to be. The lady had a guest over, a friend from the Ferris, one Lady Franklin, and barging in on them while they sipped tea and ate lady fingers was unthinkable. Lady fingers? What the heck is that? Is that like crumpets or little finger snacks or whatever they call it? I don't know. I think they accept it depending on how highly skilled and how socially well known. If you were a miner, you could literally waltz up to a mine, pick up a picksack, and get paid with that ID in the 1800s. That's pretty interesting. I did not know that. I guess back in the day, you could just get a job whatever without even having to try. Can't really say that in this day and age, unfortunately. This is being the case, Letita was obliged to spoil away the hours as best as she could until Lady Franklin's departure. She retreated to her own bedroom, where she read the letter of application she had written the day before until... Letty. Her door opened and Clara stepped in, beaming brightly. She hadn't bothered to knock, but perhaps she did not think she needed to. Clara was polite to her elders and betters, but she had no longer regarded Letita as such. Letita wasn't her governess, she was her friend. It's ever such a nice day outside. Would you like to go for a walk in the park? I need some airing out after spending all that time in church. Revered Pete's sermons are awfully dull. Clara. Letita scolded Clara, her arm ringed about her letter like a harbor wall. You shouldn't say such things. It's unchristian. Unchristian? Bruh. You say that, Letty, but I saw you nodding off during the sermon. It was all you could do to keep your eyes open. Letita's face colored. She bit her lip. Was it so very obvious? It wasn't that obvious, I think. At least that was a silver lining. I can only tell these things because I know you so very well. We've been together for years now. You can't hide anything from me. Clara's eyes sparkled like gems. Her gaze was disconcerting, and Letita soon found she had no to look away. She had done her best to discreet over the last 2 weeks, but what if it wasn't enough? Just how much did Clara know? Could she see how her breath hitched within her body as drew closer? What if she could discern, too, all her most pernicious thoughts? What if... Letty. All of a sudden, Clara was at Letita's side. She leant forward, her chin hovering above Letita's shoulder, her body's perilously close. What is it that on your desk? A letter? Were you trying to hide it from me? Oh, for goodness sake, Clara. Letita snapped in response, her face full of fury. Can't you mind your own business for once in your life? This has nothing to do with you. This was a lie, of course. The letter had everything to do with Clara, but Letita could hardly tell her that. Trembling, Letita took the letter from her desk and stuffed it inside her drawer. She had labored long and hard over that missive. But now she cared not if she crumpled it. It seemed vastly more important that she hid it from Clara's inquisitive gaze. I can't talk. Hey, what's up? Oishiro. Jay, you grew some facial hair, my boy. Yeah, I know, right? Like, do you like it? That's how long it's been, guys. I haven't live streamed in forever, so I've grown some like manly beard. I think they accept is an Italian cookie. Is it really an Italian cookie? Oh, that's cool. I want to try some of that. Letty. Clara took a step back. She looked at her governess askance. Her brow furrowed with a concern so palpable it made Letita whines. What's wrong? I didn't upset you, did I? You haven't upset me, it's just... I would like to be on my own for a while. Can't you entertain yourself elsewhere? What? But why? We almost always spend Sundays together. Then spending one Sunday apart would hardly hurt. Clara's pretty face fell at this. She looked devastated, like one who had witnessed the death of a beloved pet. Oh, but I must have done something to upset you. You're not usually this short with me. You're imagining things. No, I'm not. I know I'm not. You've been acting oddly ever since the day of Lady Marchbang's ball. You barely spoke to me even during our lessons, and you flinch whenever I touch you. You're acting like I have leprosy. So Clara had noticed. That didn't come as much of a surprise, but it still stung. Clara had done her best to hide her hurt from Letita over the weeks, but it was painfully apparent that she was hurt. For all her earlier cheer, her eyes were starting to look suspiciously misty. Once more, Letita's wished she could sit Clara on her lap and kiss those encroaching tears away. But she suppressed the urge. That was all she'd done for the last 2 weeks. Now she was becoming quite adept to the art of self-denial. That was something else she could add to her application letter, which she would no doubt need to redo now. Is proficient with the piano, speaks French to a satisfying degree, can surpass all worldly desires and passions like the cold and unfeeling corpse. What the fuck? I assure you, I've not been avoiding you. I've been distracted with a few things. That's all. It's... Letita groped for a suitable excuse. Groped. My family, my mother, to be precise, she's not been feeling well. Oh, I see. Clara blinked at this, her brown eyes wide, her tears evaporated and they were instead replaced with compassion. Clara's face in Letita was pure and unquestioning, so uncorrupt that it made Letita feel ill. Is that what the letter's about? Yes, that's right. It was from my mother.
He's been unwell for a while, but her condition has taken a turn for the worst. I'd rather look over it in private. Well, if that's about your mother, I quite understand. I'm sorry for bothering you. I hope she gets better soon. Yes, as do I.
Clara left after this exchange, still coil and obedient. Docile. I think that was docile. I don't know. Letita supposed she should have been grateful about this, but the ease with which she lied to her young pupil stirred up nothing inside her heart and save self-loathing. Lusting after Clara's was bad enough, but now Letita had deceit to add to her ever-expanding litany of sins. Her mother, who coincidentally was alive and well, living her near Kensington, I thought it was Kingston, would have been ashamed. Letty could only hope that lying to Lady Mortimer would be easier on her conscience than lying to Clara had been. It wasn't until Lady Franklin left at 3 o'clock, however, that Letita was able to finally confront her kindly mistress. She found Lady Mortimer in the drawing room, embroidery hoop in her hand, though she set her needle aside when Letita entered.
Good afternoon, Miss Reed. It's unusual to see you here. Do you have something you wish to discuss with me? Yes, I do. I apologize for intruding, but this cannot wait. Now, this does sound serious. Would you like to sit down? Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Letita sat down in the armchair which faced her employer. The chair was so comfortable one, richly upholstered and stern with cushions. It had obviously been made from deraries of the nobler classes, but Letita found she could not relax upon it. She sat on the edge of the chair, her posture tense, expression taut. A few seconds passed, denoted by the ticking of the carriage clock, but Letita said nothing. This was such a complex knot to unpick. She wasn't sure where to begin. Miss Reed? Lady Mortimer prompted, her velvet voice heavy with concern. Are you all right? Ah, yes, I'm fine. I'm sorry to worry you, it's just... Letita surveyed her mistress forlornly, her fingers coiled up upon her lap. Oh. I just cringed so hard. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry making you cringe. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm bad at this. I shouldn't have played this game, dude. Like, I don't know why the dev gave me this game for. Like, okay, I don't usually play these kinds of games, but, like, I told them I would play this game for them because I wanted to introduce them to their, my people who might be interested in this game. But I can't read worth shit right now, so... Lady Mortimer's was only 38, and she wore her years well. Her skin was smooth, her cheekbones high, her eyes deep and brown. She looked like Clara might have in 2 decades' time, for the daughter was the very spit of the mother, 2 nesting dolls that could be stacked together. Lady Mortimer wore an olive dress with a high collar and long sleeves, though the weather was hardly cold enough to warrant such an ornate gown. The sky beyond the drawing room window was clear and blue. Sunlight shone through the glass, catching the crystal chandelier which hung from the ceiling. I said Chandler, bruh. The Mortimer's drawing room was like a pleasant oasis. Located on the first floor, the windows faced out to Hyde Park. Letita could see the boughs of the trees beyond those windows, the leaves full of green, defiant in the face of the oncoming autumn. Clara had been right. It was a beautiful day. All of a sudden, Letita wished she had taken Clara up on her earlier offer. If she had, they would be together now, luxuriating in the last of the summer sunshine. It had only been an hour since she had last seen Clara, but she already wished to see her again. It was an intense yearning, and it was this which spurred Letita to speak. I saw an advertisement in the Morning Post yesterday. A family in Yorkshire are looking for a governess. I thought I might take them up on the offer." Silence fell, during which Letita surveyed her mistress. The windows of the drawing room were closed, and she felt breathless for a bit, the air old and stale. What if she choked? "I beg your pardon?" It looked like it took Lady Mortimer a while to reply. When she did, it was with no small measure of... What was that word? I don't know. The lady set her sewing hoop to one side, half embroidered with bluebells, and affixed her employee with a serious look. "But you are serious about this, Miss Reed?" "Yes, I am. I've worked in this household for 4 years now. I need a change." Well, what has prompted this? Lady Mortimer's face crumpled in disappointment. Though she was 38, she looked like her daughter when she did that. So soft and sensitive, she might have been a young girl. "You've been such a good governess to her Clara, despite your young age. My husband has hesitant to hand you the job, but I talked him around. I knew you would be a perfect fit, and I was right. Clara obviously adores you. She's never taken to any of her other governess like this before. You've been so immensely useful, I don't know what I'd do without you." "Thank you, madam." Letita wilted beneath the weight of these ill-deserved compliments. She could feel herself flushing. That was all she seemed to do lately. Her cheeks were almost perpetually red. She must have possessed an excess of blood. Could that be the culprit behind her sudden irrational emotions? Perhaps it was a course of leeches she needed, or a lancet. Bruh, leeches? Oof. If only that could be restored to her faculties. I've worked in this house for 4 years. I need a change. 14-year-olds when they have to do chores. Bruh. No kidding. I thought you were happy working with us. We have given you all you could wish or at the very least I believe we had. Have we been deficient in some manner? Not at all. I was very happy working for you and your family. Both you and your husband have been so good to me. I could not ask for more than you have already given me. Then why do you want to leave us? And so suddenly, too. Our Clara hasn't done something to offend you, has she? What? No. Letita replied a little too quickly, her face burning even as she tried to deny her guilt. This isn't because of Clara, or because of you. You've all done wonderful to me, angelic even. Please don't regard my decision as a slight against your family. Then what is the problem? Surely there must be one. I can't think of why else you would want to leave us to go to. Lady Mortimer frowned. Where did you say the new family was located? Yorkshire, madam. And why would anybody want to move from London to Yorkshire? The wages in London are much higher, and there's far more to see and do. London is a hub of activity. Where's Yorkshire? Lady Mortimer frowned. My sister lives in Yorkshire. I have been there before. I don't mean to speak ill of my own country, but it's a ghastly place. It's all fields and boggy marshland. It gets cold in the winter months, and these manor houses are miles away from civilized society. You would be bored to death within a fortnight. Fortnight, bruh. If you're fortunate enough not to succumb to the pneumonia first. I dare say you must be right, madam. You know more about these things than I. I know, too, that you'll be unhappy if you go there. You must reconsider. I wish I could, madam, but at the present circumstances prevent me from doing so. What circumstances? Well, Letita bit her lip. She knew if she was going to leave the family who had employed her for almost 5 years, she had to furnish them with some manner of an excuse. It would have been too cruel not to. At last, she could hardly tell Lady Mortimer the real reason behind her hasty decision. Left with no other alternative, she was obliged to lie. She had lied once that day, despite it being a Sunday, the day of the Lord. What was one more sin to add to her ever-growing collection? Letita sat up a little straighter, as she did while attending revered piety sermons. I don't know how to say that name. She inhaled. so as to gather her bearings, then said, "My apologies, madam, but this is a decision I have made on behalf of my mother. She likes in Yorkshire herself, and Letitia struggled to think of a suitable place. She had never been to Yorkshire herself, but she knew the names of some of its larger cities. None were so large, however, as London, nothing upon God's given earth was. Harrogate. Letitia eventually said, with a decisive nod on her head, "Yes, Harrogate. My mother lives there, all alone. Father died a few years prior." That was another lie. Letitia's father owned a greengrocer's, and he was quite well, the very picture when Letitia had seen him last, of ruddy-faced health. And I, her only daughter, I've been sending my mother my wages over the years, which was enough to sustain her, but now her health has taken a turn for the worse. I'm worried she might not live through the winter. I was hoping to find a new position closer to home, so that I might visit her more easily, should she need my help. My mother is the only family I have left, and I have to be there for her." Silence descended upon the telling of this tale. Lady Mortimer looked at Letitia. Her eyes narrowed. Was she perturbed? Letitia wondered by her tale, or did she disbelieve her? If Lady Letitia Mortimer did take issues with Letitia's gloomy account, she would have been quite correct in doing so. Almost everything which had passed Letitia's lips during the last 10 minutes had been fictitious. Had Letitia ever mentioned her mother to Lady Mortimer before? Did she know who she lived in London? Letitia couldn't remember. She hoped if she had that Lady Mortimer had forgotten, just as she did. Letitia stared at her mistress, willing her to swallow this lie until, to her relief, Lady Mortimer relented. The well-dressed lady clasped her hands together, her face heavy with emotions as she said, "Oh, you poor dear. I had no idea. It must be hard for you having to care for your ailing mother when you are so very young. It has been hard, yes. I'm doing all I can, but it's placing quite the burden on me. I can only imagine. You must be so worried, you poor thing. Well, I have no desire to add to your worries further. Not with my selfish concerns. It wouldn't be right." "Then would you allow me to apply for this new position? But of course, I can hardly say no to you now, can I? I value you not just as Clara's governess, but as a family friend of a kind. You have worked hard for us for many years, and I'll hate to see you go, of course, as I am sure will Clara, but..." Lady Mortimer's offered Letitia a smile, hesitant though it was. "I will write you a character reference myself, without delay. I'll let this new family what they are called. Did you mention their name?" "The Langleys, madam." "Then I shall let the Langleys know all about your merits. They shan't turn you down if I have anything to say in the matter. Of that I can assure you." "Oh, madam, you're too good to me." "Not at all. This is the least I could do for you. I believe all hard work must be rewarded, though I hardly count being exiled to Yorkshire as a reward." Neither did Lolita, in all honesty, a virtue she had been sorely missing as of late. Still, it seemed better than the alternative. She was accepted as governess, as Genevieve's governess. I still don't know how to say that word, which was beginning to seem more and more likely, given Lady Mortimer's determination. She would no longer need to endure Clara's company. Letitia knew that being parted from Clara would hurt, but it was a hurt she would gladly welcome. If one wanted to heal a broken bone, they first had to pop it back into place. The initial pain would be harsh and explosive, but without the pain it would be quite impossible to recover from the after-mentioned injury. Letitia was simply doing what she knew she had to do. It was the only method she could think of to stem her emotions before they quite consumed her. Oh man, dude. Alright, I'm done. Okay, I'm good. I think I'm good for today. So basically, Letitia has a thing for the Lady Clara, or the mistress, and basically because she knows it's sinful or wrong, she wants to move to what was it called? The place again? Yorkshire, something like that. North of London, or was it south of London or something? I'm pretty sure it was south of London, to avoid her sinful emotions towards Clara. And she had to lie about that her mom's sick and lives nearby, and so she wants to take care of her and stuff like that. So basically that sums up the whole thing in an hour, basically. Interesting. You can kind of see where the little bit of Yandere tendencies are coming from at the very beginning. But I heard, the dev told me that when you get around 60 or 70% of the story, it starts getting more darker and stuff like that, which I don't know what to say about that. But I guess we shall see if I ever pick this back up. I don't know, man. Like, it's slightly interesting, but at the same time, the pacing is kind of slow for me. I'm kind of used to like more manga, like pacing, where the manga is like fast paced and you get right into it, and like the story kind of picks up faster. This is kind of like very descriptive and very I don't know, the narrative is very long, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, you can probably call this a day at this point when she moves out of the manor, Mortimer Manor or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks guys for watching. My throat, you can probably tell by my throat that it's like raspy and stuff like that, because like of reading so much. This is what happens when you read like an hour worth of content. Oof. I also have to delete some of the other videos because I had to restart this live stream like multiple times. Big oof. But all right guys, thanks for watching guys. I appreciate it. Big shout out to Marksman, the Lucky Duelist, and I think it was just those two of my YouTube members. Thank you guys for like supporting me, for sticking around, even though I don't really stream or like make videos as much anymore. But I will try to make as much as I can, not because I'm trying to force myself to. Oh yeah, and thanks the moderator, Ali, for like moderating my live stream chat. Yeah, huge thanks to everybody for watching. Truly, thank you guys for like sticking around. I'm surprised that people are even came to like watch me at all. Like, I did not expect anybody to come to watch this live stream with me. Let me save this real quick. But yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Hope to see you guys next time. I don't know when I want to stream next time. I think I might try to aim for 2 streams a week, although I don't know. I feel like it could be a little too much for me, maybe. I don't know. I really have to think about it, because I might do a casual stream where I stream pretty much anything, and like a stream where I stream visual novels, because I really want to get back into visual novels and stuff. Because I have quite a few visual novels I still need to do and finish. But yeah. Anyways, that's enough of me ranting. I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you next time. Peace. For those wondering when Yandere stories are is coming out, I'm starting to edit them, so just a little longer, guys. It's a little bit of time longer. I have to do a lot of animating stuff. So yeah. All right, guys. Peace. All right, see ya.
誰にもいないから部屋に寝た沈黙は私の頭を振り返る友達なしで風が吹いている声が聞く頭を見える 今あなたはいるから風に愛して飛び込んで楽しかった二人で世界に行こうさよなら闇が怖くても行きたい闇に風に愛して飛び込んで楽しい